Evelyn, you want to be in the talent show?
I have no talent.
If you had a talent, what would it be, Liv?
If I had a talent.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Good morning. I'm back. The Thunderpod is back.
The Thunderpod.
My name is Mavry Durham.
And I'm Liv Lyons.
Welcome to the Thunderpod.
Now, we've been busy, and we're getting to episode 4 of Highline's premium audio podcast, so get ready for a jam-packed show this week. We're here.
Last time we were here was spring break.
It was spring break.
It was the secret episode.
It was a secret episode. It ended up not being released.
No, because I never got around to editing it.
I think we are so marred with greatness and how much we need things to be perfect, which is healthy. Anyways, it's springtime, the sun is shining, the flowers are blooming, we've got an exclusive deep dive into the world of marine biology, a new interim VPAA, and a brand new writer/special guest coming at you in this brand new episode of the Thunderpod, so sit tight, grab a coffee from the student bistro, because we've got some catching up to do. Mavry, take it away.
That's right. We're jumping right into week 5 of spring quarter, but we have been hard at work this past 4 weeks.
We've had a few bright and shining articles, a lot of really cool photo essays. Mavry, you did one, a follow-up on your very spectacular Dr. Lardner article about Dr. Rolita.
So to follow up about my very last article that came out at the end of winter quarter, it was about the termination of Dr. Lardner. We had an exclusive interview with her, so check that out. It's under campus from winter quarter. I also was able to snag an interview with Dr. Rolita Izonu, our new interim VPAA. Dr. Izonu was the interim VPAA for Highline before Dr. Lardner was hired back in 2017.
So she's come back after all this time.
Yes, she's come back to the same role. She started out at Highline years and years ago in the communications department. She worked her way up to a dean, and then she was interim VPAA before moving on to Green River. She's been at Green River as the vice president of instruction for the past few years, and now she's back. I was able to interview her and got some insights into what it's like to be back at Highline. If she could shed any insights onto what's going on within administration as it pertains to clarity, which was the focus of last quarter's article, as well as transparency towards the student body. That came out in the most recent edition of the Thunderword, so check that out.
So it's available now.
It is available now.
Right this second.
And then you did a few good writings this quarter already.
Oh, that's very kind. I did my first book review.
You did. Tell me about that.
So have you heard of the book Tender is the Flesh?
I've seen it come across my cash register.
Oh, because you work at a book place.
A bookstore, yes.
Store, of course, that's it. I've been to one of those. Tender is the Flesh is, if there ever was a content warning for a book, it is for this one. So if you are squeamish about blood or violence or assault, then big content warning if you are going to look at it. There's no spoilers on this review, but I personally loved it. I don't usually read horror, but it's clearly there for a reason, and it's pointed, and it's not gore for the sake of gore. It is disturbing and aggressively well written.
The title itself, Tender is the Flesh.
One of my favorite book titles ever.
It is a very good book title, yeah.
I'm jealous. There is an art to coming up with a good title.
What else do we got going here? How has your quarter been so far?
It's been pretty good. This is my last quarter. I'm taking my last 2 classes I'll need, and it's great.
Actually, so glad that you stayed on for a little bit longer when you needed to, because we would have come back that fall, and I would have just been me.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so.
And this audio spectacular would have been absent of banter. What a pain.
Yeah, this, honestly, podcast probably wouldn't exist yet.
Well, it's worth saying then, and I mean this. You're welcome. How was your quarter?
My quarter's been pretty good. I am doing a lot of work working on my transfer to university for when I finish Highline. So we have been working on a project recently.
We have.
Yeah. And you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. We've been working on a project around the Mast Center. For those who are unfamiliar with it, just down the road from Highline, there is a Mast Aquarium, and it is fantastic.
It stands for Marine Science and Technology Center. It's an aquarium and classroom down at Redondo Beach, owned and operated by Highline.
Yes, and Russ Higley The director of it is fantastic. He gave a few of us a tour. In fact, our special guest for today, Evelyn Rissel, is taking Journalism 101. She came with us on the Mass tour. She is heading a lot of the interviews and the upcoming article about the Mass Center, and actually did a 17-minute interview with the director.
We're actually going to kind of give the microphone to Evelyn here, who is our journalism student this quarter and is reporting the Mass Center.
I'm Evelyn Rissel. I did have the opportunity to talk to Russ Higley. He's a professor here at Highline. He's been here for 23 years. Mm-hmm. It was an amazing opportunity as a new student to Highline and a new student to journalism. There's nothing really like talking to somebody who is so passionate about their subject. He loves those fishes so much. And that joy was really infectious, especially during the interview. I felt like I was talking to somebody who was media trained. He knew what to do, he knew what to say, he expounded on things. It was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, so you not only got to learn a lot about marine science and technology, Russ Higley and his work with the Mass Center, you also got to have this reporting experience, conducting an interview, taping it, and all of that stuff. How do you feel about that?
Oh my gosh, I loved it so much, and I have to give you a lot of credit. You know, I came to you on Monday, and I was like, hey, I really love to do an interview face-to-face, and within the week, you made that happen, which is, like, that's amazing. That was so cool. It happened so fast. It was so cool. I thought it would be weeks of getting it together, and it was just really natural and an amazing experience for sure.
So you not only conducted this interview with Higley and everything, what else happened at the Mass Center that night?
Yeah, it was really eye-opening on how much there is still to do. The Mass Center, they are so involved with the Des Moines community and the Highline community. They have all these events planned. Recently, they got the accreditation from the city about the six-gilled sharks. There's a national day coming up, and we're really excited to work with them. I know there might be a documentary planned as well. Hopefully we can get Russ on your podcast, too. I know that would be so fun. He's really cool. There's genuinely a million different articles and a million different stories to be told. Yeah.
And you said that they got an official six-gill shark day coming up?
Yeah,
when is that?
It's so cool. So the six-gilled shark is pretty local to Redondo. Their breeding ground is actually right under the pier where the Mass Center is. If you're interested in scuba or just knowing your general area, it's right there. You can go down and see them. Well, some of them. They live pretty deep in there, so we might not be able to go thousands of feet under. But they're there, and yeah, it's a bit on the side of conservation. So the day is a lot of recognition about the animal and spreading awareness that this really cool thing exists right under our feet.
Tell me a little bit about the Mass Center, like walking in and seeing the huge whale skeleton.
Yes. Okay, so there's a 38-foot whale skeleton that Russ and, people from the community, at the time local students, found and preserved. Essentially, they had to clean off all of the meat from the bones. They had to restructure it in a way that would make sense for the area as well as its natural position. They also had this really cool investigative work of discovering how he died, and they still don't really have a full answer, but that's something to find if you ever go to the center. So as you're walking through the hall, you're immediately greeted by this huge whale, and then you keep going. They start describing a bit about its life and some of the ecology around where it existed. And then you're also greeted at the end of the hallway by, I believe it is an otter. There's also another skeleton that Russ himself, put together and salvaged. And then you get this amazing short walk onto the pier. You're again right there on the marina, and it smells, that great sea air. It's like just blasting you in the... And then you get to the aquarium, and you're immediately greeted by, there's a touch tank, which, oh my gosh, Russ was pointing out all of the different fish that were just like chilling under the sand. He's like, oh, there's one there, there's one there. You're like, what are you talking about? But yeah, so there's a ton of different things to see there. And then they have the traditional aquariums where it's built into the wall. And so in these aquariums, he points out what you think is just dust or but like, oh, clean, they need to clean the tanks out, is actually like the very beginning stages of this organism. It's the beginning stages of a barnacle. So they kind of go around, they eat all of the different algae that don't get consumed by the other fish, and then eventually they find a good spot, latch onto it, and grow into a barnacle. And it's so cool to see how every little thing in this environment is just so impactful. The fish that they put together, you see, there's one with just jellyfish. You get to see their coloring, and there's some explanation as to why they're there, which is really cool. There's sea cucumbers, which look so different than you think they would look.
Oh yeah, they look a little weird. Sea
Yeah.
cucumbers. Did you do the touch tanks?
I wasn't brave enough to.
Liv, did you do the touch tanks?
I did not.
I think, was it Steven?
I think you did.
The videographer for our podcast.
Yeah.
I guess he was braver than both of you guys.
And he had like a sixth sense about where the fish were. You know, me and Kara and Liv were like, what are you talking about? There's no fish. And Steven would be like, nope, it's right here. That was really cool.
That's actually pretty fun. You did your interview and everything, and you actually got to do it in the aquarium.
Yeah, I strong-armed that a little bit because I just thought the visual was so cool. Liv described it as like a wallpaper behind you.
Yeah.
Like, come on. When else do you get to do that?
A
Like,
real set like that is always
Yeah.
better than some green screen.
that experience also as a journalism 101 student was so cool to kind of be a little bossy and say, oh, I think these are the pretty fish we're sitting in front of.
Let's include the fish in there, and
Yeah.
that's pretty good. I want to say, as your editor, as your friend, as the person sitting across from you, I really loved how you came up to me on Monday and you were like, I want to interview someone, and I was like, okay, well, we're looking for science and tech, and you were super open to it, and timing was perfect and everything. I think we've mentioned it once before on the podcast, where one of our most treasured virtues is probably initiative, and we love when people are just standing up and be like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And hearing about how you were like, oh no, in my vision, we're in front of the fishes, and that's our background. We just really respect that, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Maeve. That's so sweet. I'm so glad that you guys are so open to that kind of initiative.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're also writing an article to follow up that interview, correct?
There's some specific points in our conversation that I think would be really beneficial for an article. So hopefully that will come out this next week.
Yeah, week 5 edition.
Yes.
Keep an eye out. That's going to probably be maybe our first science and tech article for spring quarter.
No way.
I know, right? Science and Tech is a column on the newspaper that we added sometime in the past year and a half. And every quarter it brings something different. Sometimes we have a lot of people who really like writing about science and technology. Sometimes we don't.
Ooh, yeah, we're light this quarter a little bit.
So this Mast Center project is really kind of churning out butter for us.
Yeah.
But thank you, Evelyn, for coming on the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it.
Definitely.
And hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Ooh.
All right, we're going to bring Liv up here. I'm going to keep your background.
There you go.
Looking forward, we have a lot of stuff happening this quarter as for events. It's spring, the sun is out, the leaves are growing. If you are walking around campus, chances are you'll see some cute bunnies run around. Highline is super excited. We have the Spring Volunteer Fair on Monday the 28th in Building 8. That's from 11 to 2. If you are looking for chances to get involved in the community or gain some volunteer hours, check that out.
Outstanding. Then Tuesday is a day of nothing.
It's a day of rest.
A day of rest.
On Wednesday, April 30th, we're actually going to be celebrating one of our writers at the National Poetry Month 2025 reception.
Alinea, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
Alinea is one of our brand new writers this quarter. She just released her very first article. It was a review on the play Parade, which I found very interesting. I found her analysis and her perspective very unique as a Jewish American. And I'm very happy for her. She got second place, I believe.
We're very proud.
We are very proud. That takes place from 12 to 1:30 in Building 8 in the Mount Constance Olympus room.
So congratulations, Alinea, for representing. Mm-hmm. And then that same day, from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. at room 200, Building 8, we have a Thank a Professor card event. I have actually taken part in those as well as more informal ones, and it really does go a long way, and it's very fun. And years after the fact where you are missing your professor, it feels really nice to know that you got them a little gift, a little card, a little thank a card.
I know, teachers are special.
So special.
Yep. Since all of these events are kind of going on at the same time, you have a Choose Your Own Adventure Wednesday, it seems like.
Ooh.
The Counseling Center is putting on a Creating Wellness art event from 12:30 to 1:30 in room 151, Building 6.
That sounds delightful. Then Thursday, May 1st, we have College for All, an inclusive post-secondary education day from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m.
Friday, May 2nd, is a professional development day, meaning that campus is going to be closed for students. Moving on to week 6, Monday, May 5th, we have 2 events happening. We have the Khmer New Year, experience the vibrant traditions of Khmer culture with a day full of games, delicious food, and joyful community spirit. This event is hosted by the Global Student Investors and is taking place in Building 8 in the Mount Constance room.
Outstanding. And then that same day, Monday, May 5th, we have the science seminar, Vaccines Addressing the Misconceptions.
Wednesday is always pretty jam-packed on campus. We have a career fair going on at 10 a.m. in Building 8. And then at 11:30, we have Neurodivergent Perspectives, a community dialogue. This panel is open to students, staff, and faculty who identify as neurodivergent, and it's going to be held over Zoom. The Zoom meeting ID is going to be on the Highline events calendar, as well as our show notes.
Wednesday, May 7th, we have the Creating Wellness event taking place from 12:30 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., room 151 in Building 6, as well as the Professional Tech Info session for nursing taking place from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. virtually.
Thursday, May 8th is a busy day. Current student enrollment starts, so be ready to register and choose your classes for both fall and summer quarters. They both open up at the same time to help running start students. If you already know or you're taking the next 2 quarters, go ahead and register before spots run out. All right, so the Highline's Got talent show takes place on Thursday, May 8th in the evening from 5 to 7 p.m. in Building 7.
I'm excited to see all of the talents that show up.
I know, it's put on by the International Students Program, the Global Student Ambassadors, and the Public Speaking Center. So it's a huge cross-campus event. So I hope everyone shows up. There's going to be a lot of hype, a lot of fun. And
a lot of competition.
A lot of competition. You can sign up for the tryouts on the Highline events calendar as well as our show notes.
Thank you for joining us. You'll be hearing from us again soon, but don't let that stop you from reaching out and letting us know what stories you want to hear, things in the community that you want announced. We want to make sure everybody gets a voice in the Thunderword and the Thunderpod.
So we have an email. It's the Thunderword
at Highline.
At highline.edu. You can email us or Kara Stewart about anything you would like to be covered, whether it's an event on campus or something that you want to draw attention to. And if you'd like to be on the podcast and you have something to say, let us know. Thank you so much for listening to this spring quarter episode of the Thunderpod. We are so excited for everything that you're about to see this quarter.
Extremely so. I have been Liv.
And this is Mavry. Bye!
Goodbye.
The Thunderpod is created by the Thunderword, Kara Stewart, Mavry Durham, and Liv Lyons. It is both produced and hosted by Mavry and Liv. Associate producer is Rachel Stewart, and this is edited by Mavry Durham. Special thanks to Evelyn Rissell for coming on the podcast today and all of her hard work at the Thunderword. Special thanks to Russ Higley for agreeing to work with us on the Mast Center project,